Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Coffee and Crypto. Today, we've got a special guest, Faith, with us. I'm really excited about this episode. You had actually reached out to us about potentially working together and getting on the show. And I'm just kind of curious, what exactly is Dionysus Coffee Co? How did you get started in this space? And why don't we really start kind of with what the project is, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, perfect. So, my name is Faith. I'm the CFO of Dionysus Coffee Company. So, what Dionysus Coffee Company is more than just being an NFT project. We are a company with an NFT project.
Okay.
So, the way that we are kind of running our business is we want to be able to give coffee and NFT enthusiasts, which we realize there's a lot of crossover in those two communities,
Mhm.
the kind of like the most bang for their buck is kind of what we say.
Okay.
So, at if you go to Starbucks, you'll get stars and you can like get a free coffee every once in a while or whatever. We want to tailor our rewards and giveaways to be more focused towards the community, and then
Okay.
hopefully making these rewards a lot more lucrative than what you would get with something like you buy a coffee and you get like 10 cents kind of towards your next cup until you build back up. We want things to be a lot more involved. So
Okay.
kind of how that would work to be able to onboard into the company would be you would buy one of the pieces in our collection of
Mhm.
NFTs. And once you do that, you can go to our website, you can connect your wallet, and then have full access to our entire coffee shop. And in addition to that, what's really special that I personally haven't seen anyone else do is
Mhm.
that you can fill out a form to receive a complimentary welcome package with your NFT. So that welcome package is going to
Oh,
have things like different flavors of coffee, some smaller merch items, a mug, things like that. So really just getting you started and saying that you are a valued customer and really taking the risk away of buying that NFT because you're going to get a ton of stuff right up front. And you don't have to hope the value goes up or think like, oh, I'm buying a ticket to buy more things. It's like, no, you're buying entry into this exclusive community where you're going to just constantly be given back value.
that's really cool. There's a couple things I want to ask you about there.
Mhm.
First, you mentioned there's a lot of crossover, and you're right. I mean, crypto never sleeps, right? We all talk about
Yeah.
coffee. I mean, look at all the memes and emojis we're using all the time in regards to it. So I think the culture is bang on, just for one part. And I really like that you talked about the rewards, because that was actually something I specifically wanted to talk to you about, is kind of how
Mhm.
you plan on incorporating that in. Because for me, I know if I were to get involved in a project like this, I'm going to want to be consistently buying the product, or when I want to be consistently receiving the coffee.
Yes.
There's going to be kind of this brand loyalty that I can think of that really comes from it. And you mentioned the welcome package. Can you give us a little bit more detail on exactly what that looks like yet? Or are you guys still putting that together? And how does that exactly work? Because here's a good question. Say I buy one of the NFTs and I fill out that form to get the welcome package. What if I were to resell that NFT down the road? How exactly would that work?
Yeah, those are all great questions. So, first, I believe you asked about like the consistency part of it, and I completely
Mhm.
agree with what you're saying. You're definitely incentivized to stay loyal and consistent with the company
Mhm.
because I really want to implement kind of what I call like a prestige system. So the
Okay.
more you buy within the company, it's kind of like you get ticked up into the next bracket every time. So like if there's like like a bronze, silver, and gold, depending
Mhm.
on how much you buy, as you move up you're going to get better rewards and things like that. So it really incentivizes you to stay. Um, and then the welcome package itself. So we still, because of, kind of how volatile things have been in the market right now, we're not
Mhm.
100% sure how much we're going to be pricing them at.
Okay.
But in like US dollars, between maybe like 100 to 150. But the way that we're working it is we want to, whatever the price is, we're going to be matching it with value in the welcome package.
I
So
see.
you're going to be
Okay.
getting maybe like in my head was maybe like 6 different bags, and then I've been looking at merch items like stickers. I found this one company that does customized coasters, which would be perfect.
Oh, I see.
And then we
Yeah.
already have someone that does custom mugs for us. So I would estimate something like that, but it's still like a little bit blurry because we're still trying to figure out okay what exactly we want to put in, but we know we're expecting a lot of different flavors of coffee, which is a big part of it. And then that's a great question about reselling. So the
Mhm.
way we're kind of taking this approach on NFTs is we're really kind of seeing it as like a ticket. So if you're
Okay.
buying it from us, you're going to get this like welcome package or whatever. Like I guess the way I could describe it is like if you buy a ticket to, let's say, like Lollapalooza, you're gonna get like I did recently, you're gonna get a lot of emails with like perks and things like that. But if I were to sell the ticket to someone else, they would really only get like the ticket and the wristband. You know, I'm still gonna be
Hmm.
in their system as like whatever. So it would be if you buy the NFT, you can get the welcome package or not, if you maybe wanted to hope to try to sell that off to someone else in the future, but there's still value in having that NFT. Something that I want to include because I understand how important like resale value is to NFTs,
Hmm.
but just for budget constraints, we haven't done it yet, is something called like dynamic NFTs. So having the NFTs kind of change with the actions you take upon them. So like if you were to
Ah,
have an
okay.
NFT and you were to buy, you know, over however long, $1,000 worth of coffee, that your points would stick to that NFT. But as
Hmm.
of right now, it's only sticking to your account, just the way that we're having things set up.
Okay.
Um, but it's something I want to look into in the future. So for right now, you probably couldn't, if you bought it for $100, you probably couldn't sell it for $100 resale value, but there will still be resale value because of how much is within the company. There's so much utility behind that.
Awesome. Well, one thing that got me really excited, which was when we were first looking at your company, is attaching, tangible item, a tangible thing to an
Mhm.
NFT project. We seen, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Fluff ecosystem. They had the Jadu hoverboards where you actually got a snowboard. So like a physical snowboard was mailed to you. That was kind of the first time I seen it, 6 months ago, where they started doing physical items with projects. We've seen sneakers. I'm not sure if you've seen that recently. There's been quite a few where they've been attaching, physical items. There's even one, the Samurai Bros, where they're doing a board game where basically you buy their NFT, but you get mailed the original board game. But the issue that they're running into is the resell, right? Like, how do you resell something that's you're giving out a physical, tangible item? So I'm
Yeah.
definitely curious to kind of see how that works with a lot of these different projects. And I liked what you were saying about maybe having these perks or like levels to kind of incentivize people not necessarily wanting to resell it. You're simply just getting that NFT asset in order to be part of the project and
Mhm.
get that welcome package. And that's fine too. It doesn't have to be like every other project, at least in my
Yeah.
opinion. So I really think that that's unique with how you guys are kind of approaching that. And one thing that I wanted to ask you as well, do you guys have a roadmap in place right now on kind of what kind of timeline you're looking at on how long it's going to be until we can actually buy these NFTs? Like, how soon can I get my welcome package?
Yeah, I would say you'll probably be able to purchase the NFTs, I would say by the end of this month, so June
Oh,
or
wow.
beginning of
Okay.
July. We're moving along pretty well. And then for actually receiving the welcome package, we're expecting it to take probably about 2 weeks with the way
Okay.
that the packaging and distribution is going to
That's really
work.
good. Yeah.
But yeah, it's really not that bad. And then if you didn't want to wait and you wanted to buy the coffee just right away as soon as you get in, you'd probably get that within the next couple days. Just the
Oh, wow.
welcome package is the harder part because of having to package everything.
Makes sense. And what got you into this project? Like, were you the original creator? Are you working with a team? Do you want to give us a little bit of background on kind of, how you got into even the NFT space and what brought you to this point?
Yeah. So personally, I'm a business student,
Okay.
and you pretty much, at least in this day and age, you can't really have a business class without some sort of mention of NFTs or crypto coming up. And I had always been interested in it. And I know my dad even had money in Bitcoin back like years ago. Like he
Okay.
had, I think
Smart guy.
like yeah. I don't know how many he had at the time. I think it was maybe like a couple, which now is great. I mean, look at it
Yeah,
now. It
exactly.
wasn't much. I mean, it was a while ago when we talked about it. The money or the value's definitely gone up since then.
Hmm.
And so I knew that there was value in it. And
Okay.
then I originally wanted to start this as kind of, it's a weird perspective. So being like an entrepreneur and a business student, you're always looking for money and pretty much in everything. You're looking for what
For
can I
sure.
capitalize on? And something I thought of was this is actually before I met Colin, the other co-founder,
Okay.
was so everyone is trying to make NFTs and everyone's trying to make their own coin, but
Hmm.
no one is really marketing to these people. There's this community where everyone is trying to get people to buy their NFTs and buy their coins, but there's no one coming from the outside in. At least at the
Yes.
time there wasn't, and I don't feel like there is many now. Um, so my idea was, I wonder if there's something I could do to kind of market to this community. And that was when I
Okay.
met Colin. And originally I was running a different company about creating and distributing products, people that kind
Hmm.
of don't really know what they're doing and taking them to that point where they can sell it. And I actually ended up becoming part of the team because we had a lot of the same ideas. And he also had the same idea of having an NFT coffee company. I was like, this is perfect. I
Yeah.
want to market to NFT like enthusiasts. He also wants to do the same thing. This is perfect. And so we collaborated. And I mean, I guess in a way, kind of the rest is history. Like now we're about to launch, and we've had working on a lot of collaborations with other brands and creators, and even up other tokens. Like I
Okay.
won't say who because we haven't really gone public about this, but there is
Sure.
another project that has done very, very well, sold out multiple collections, that is going to be implementing their token from their play to earn game into our website. So you'll be able to
Oh,
play to
cool.
earn with them and then use those tokens to buy coffee. It's kind of they're creating like an ecosystem, and we're going to be part of that.
I'm definitely going to look out for that. And it's funny that
Yeah.
you mentioned the marketing thing because that's actually how me and our company got involved. We started as a Web2 marketing firm for
Mhm.
local businesses. And naturally, we just wanted to expand into Web3 because we were an innovative company. And of course, you talk about innovation on the internet, you
Mhm.
get led to Web3 and crypto.
Exactly.
And we noticed the same thing. There was these projects that were trying to just sell their coin or have good token generation events, but no one was actually marketing to these individuals, these NFT
Mhm.
enthusiasts, or even play to earn. And that's actually a big reason why we created this show and this channel, was because we realized not only is YouTube and social media a great resource to get information out to actually market to these people, but there's a huge lack of it.
Yeah.
And it is just about, it almost felt like there was a lot of trying to extract money from the ecosystem rather than actually market to all the individuals. So I think what you guys are doing there is really clever. And it sounds like the team that you're working with had that same kind of foresight to know.
Mhm.
So I really appreciate and respect your answer there. I think you guys are
Thank
ahead of the
you.
curve. And I'm definitely super excited to hear what that play to earn title is, because I'm not sure if you're aware, but I also own and operate a Web3 game guild. So right now, currently, we're over 100 scholars. We're doing fantastic. We're in quite a bit of games. Of course, the market's down right now, but the fact that we're still doing great, I'm thrilled, because I feel
Yeah.
like with how good we're doing now, the worst is behind us. It's only uphill from here. And there's a lot of innovation that's happening. So as soon as you guys can say that, I'll be keeping an eye out, and I'm definitely going to be interested. And of course, then we'll take a look at the game guild, maybe looking at that game.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really cool. I kind of want to prod you a little bit for more information there, but I know you said you can't say it yet. So as soon as you can, I'm definitely going to be
Yeah, no,
very
if
curious.
I can remember, I'll definitely reach out to you personally. I have
Please.
a meeting with them tonight, so hopefully we get a better
Oh wow.
idea of
Okay.
kind of when they're planning on going public, because I know they've been kind of individually going public with their collaborations, and I don't
Okay.
want to kind of spoil anything for
For
them.
sure. Okay, great. And then one other thing I wanted to ask is, when did you guys first form this company? I was taking a look at the website. I see you guys have a nice social media presence right now. Things are still kind of ramping up, but when did you guys first kind of get everything going? And then my follow-up question to that would be, is where's really the best place for people to follow you to learn information about what you're doing and stay up to date? Do you kind of have a main hub?
Yeah. So for keeping up to date with us, definitely our Twitter. I'm on
Okay.
there literally every single day, tweeting about nonsense and then also important things.
Hmm.
And that also has the link in our bio to our link tree where we have absolutely everything you can check out. And then I'm so sorry. What was the first question that you asked?
Oh, I was just asking when you first started. Like, when did you guys
Oh,
launch
yes,
the
yes, yes. Okay.
website and kind of get everything, off from the ground,
Yeah, kind of
basically?
like the timeline. So originally, I think we started I think we decided we wanted to create this company, I believe back in October. So it was a
Oh,
while
okay.
ago. And our original launch date was for like February, but we
Okay.
had a problem because the other co-founder, they're based in New York City, And
Hmm.
so we had to get the name change and the different changes in the operating agreement,
I
everything
see.
through to the state. And I mean, I think we filed that in beginning of January, and it was only maybe 2 weeks ago that we got approved. So we
Oh,
were
wow.
kind of for a while just sitting and waiting, and I was
Hmm.
working on social media, but then because I'm a college student, I had finals and Colin got
Hmm. Hmm.
married. And so it was like so much going on. It kind of halted us for a while. But at least right now, it's summer. I'm pretty much putting all my time into this. And then Colin does have a day job, but now that, the wedding and everything is behind
Yeah.
them, we're now just really focusing on this. It was it was really frustrating for a while, just a lot of sitting and being like, "Hey, Colin, did you hear anything back from New York?" "No." "Okay." And kind of just waiting and like brainstorming. But I think in a way that kind of helped us because it gave us
Okay.
a lot of time to think about what we want to do with the brand.
It's interesting that you say that. A lot of people don't realize all the hoops that you actually have to jump through when it comes to creating a project, and the
Mhm.
compliance and the business registration and the name and all that stuff. It's not as simple as when you have a non-docs team and you just start an NFT project
Yeah.
and you launch it, right? Like and that's getting more important, I'm noticing, as this space is evolving, where
Mhm.
compliance is really going to be a much more important factor, moving forward. We kind of had to go through the same thing, making sure that our clients they want to move into Web3. So there's a lot of compliance issues, and dealing
Yeah.
with the SEC can get pretty serious. I wanted to ask you, just kind of to pivot here before I go off on a tangent on compliance stuff. What was the inspiration with the NFTs? And because I noticed they're like on the website, you can see they're holding like the Ethereum coin, and then there's
Mhm.
another one with the Doge coin. And I thought that was pretty cool. Is that kind of the main thing that's going to alternate between all the NFTs, is like the coins that are being held? Of course, it looks like maybe some of the art and the colors, but I want to know what the inspiration was there. And do you have someone separately that's doing that? Like, did you guys hire a creative director? Did you outsource to another company? How much can you really tell us about that?
Yeah. So for the NFTs themselves, honestly, we were just reached out to I think it was someone on Upwork. We had
Okay.
like even though it was just Upwork, I feel like we spent so much time meeting and interviewing people until we found like the perfect right person.
Nice.
And it took a while because we had, budget, and then we also had all these
Hmm.
ideas. We need to make sure we had someone that could kind of live up to our expectations. But the idea that we got was actually kind of interesting. It started from the name because we wanted to make sure the name was going to exemplify our values.
Okay. Yep.
And I had a bunch of different silly ones like Ethereum and things like that. But Colin came up with Dionysus because Dionysus is like the Greek god of like wine and
Yeah.
kind of like partying and things like that. And this is silly, but I'm a really big BTS fan and they have a song
Okay.
called
They
Dionysus.
do. That's how I knew it at
Yeah.
first, actually, which is funny. Not the
And
Greek god. I had to look into that afterwards. It was the song that I first
yeah,
recognized.
yeah. And so they or he when he mentioned that, I was like, wait, this is perfect because also like a BTS reference. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
And it kind of just worked out great, combining like this sort of opulence of this Greek god and then like the opulence of like the NFT crypto community. It's all about like money and earning and holding and things like that.
Hmm.
And we, for the NFT itself, we wanted to kind of mesh those two together somehow. Like, how are we going to combine ancient Greece with modern technology? And I really liked the way that it turned out. Actually, I thought it
Me
was
too.
really clever, and the design is almost kind of like Disney, and I thought that was really cool. Like I haven't seen a lot of projects
It gave me almost like
do
an
that before.
Emperor's New Groove feel, like for
Yeah,
the
I see what you
animation,
mean.
right? Like I really liked it too quite a bit. That's why I wanted to ask you about it, because I thought the animation was really cool, really well done. Like you can tell the artist obviously has quite a bit of talent, and I'm just excited to kind of see the variations in art. Thanks for kind of
Yeah.
giving us a bit of an explanation behind that. I know, like you said, we're getting pretty close here to it coming out. Maybe even the end of this month into next month is when we can expect that launch. So
Mhm.
here's kind of my natural next question. How are you guys handling with what the market's been doing lately, because we all know, we're pretty much in a confirmed bear market at this point. How has that impacted your guys' plans for launching? What kind of expected revenue you're looking at, and how are you guys kind of navigating that?
Yeah, so really neither me nor Colin were very worried about this because we
Okay.
know how the market has fluctuated in the past and how
Mhm.
really all markets fluctuate.
Mhm.
And we kind of thought of it as a good thing because we thought there was going
Okay.
to be, like less activity, prices were going to kind of go down. And we
Mhm.
felt like this would be a great moment for us to enter. So then when things start to move back up, we're already established and we don't have to worry
Okay.
about, new competitors. Everything's just going to be like a stimulation of the market. And so for price wise, we originally were looking at having the NFTs priced on the higher end, and we
Okay.
kind of moved things back because we realized, well, all NFTs are kind of, the floor prices are lowering a lot, and we wanted to make sure we had something that was accessible, but
Okay.
still kind of like an investment back into us. So that was where we kind of like the $100 to $150 range.
Okay.
Originally, my range was kind of like 150 to 200, so kind of moving that back a little bit. I think it's going to really be able to give people an opportunity to buy something that has great utility and value without pretty much draining their wallets to do so.
Okay. Further question to that, why 10,000? Was it just because that's kind of been the common denominator in the amount, or was there a strategic reason for that total? And why
Yeah,
didn't you do like 333 or 777? We've seen a lot of kind of variations. So I'm just curious why you guys picked that route.
yeah. So the way we're really taking this is emphasizing that we are a company and we're utilizing NFTs. So we're
Okay.
not concerned about minting out or anything. In
I
fact, I
get you.
don't really feel like we want to. We want to always make sure new people can come into the
Okay.
company. So 10,000, it really just gave us the opportunity to onboard a lot of people and to
Hmm.
also use them for giveaways or promotions or things like that. And also it was just the the best deal with the person that we were working with to create
Okay.
them. It was like not much more to jump from like 5,000 to 10,000, and we were like, well, we know
Might
we
as
want to
well.
have a lot anyways, let's just go for it. It like, if
Oh,
anything, I
cool.
feel like it gives us more motivation to like onboard more and more people. So yeah, that's something I feel like I have to remind people about sometimes when they're like,
Hmm.
well, you're not going to mint out in this market. I'm like, well, we're not trying to. We just
Yeah.
want people to come on and we want them to be passionate about the company. And if we mint out the 10,000, there's going to be another collection right behind that. We don't ever want to stop people from coming into the company.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to ask afterwards. Like you run at the 10,000 as a company that's providing a physical, tangible product, you would just kind of do the next round afterwards, right?
Yeah.
And it would also allow you to kind of control the supply because you know what that maximum supply is going to be. Was that something that you guys factored in too? Like you can kind of pre-plan the distribution, the shipping, all that because you know what that kind of maximum is going to be, and I feel like that's an advantage that you guys might have going the NFT route compared to a normal company. Because a normal company, you've just got the buy order option, and that can go so high. You can get to a point you actually have an issue with it might take a month or 2 months to get stuff out. And we've seen that a lot. I think we've all experienced that where we've bought something online and it takes 2 to 3 months, to get there
Yeah.
because there's supply issues. Do you guys feel that because of the NFT route and doing the 10,000 that you guys aren't going to be quite so prone to that? Now, I know it's hard to say. There's lots that
Mhm.
could come up. We could have supply chain issues or whatever the case may be. But is that something that you guys have considered quite a bit? And if so, what are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Honestly, that's not something that I had really thought of before, but thinking about it now, I think that could be very beneficial, sort of giving us a cap to know that we can't, which I don't think would happen, but if
Mhm.
within the first week we get like 100,000 purchases, then we're like, oh my God, how are we going to package 100,000 welcome
Right?
boxes? Like, that would
Not
be
that
a
that's a bad
problem,
problem.
obviously. But I think, yeah, having the 10,000, it gives us kind of like a scope. And
Okay.
then also, I think making it where you have to buy the NFT to be able to get the welcome package and be able to buy the coffee, I think it kind of in a way like slows things down for our launch. So we
Okay.
know there's more people that are willing to spend $15 on like a really nice bag of coffee than there are people willing to spend $150 to buy in to getting that sort of coffee and perks. So we think it kind of like um pushes some people away, but also brings
Mhm.
in people that are really passionate about the consistency and the loyalty. So
Yeah.
probably make it a lot easier. I mean, I would love to have selling too many be our problem, of
Right.
course. But yeah, I think that's actually a really good thought. It kind of gives us like a cap or almost like a schedule to kind of rely on.
Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to ask. Now, next question, which is something that actually, I'm kind of interested in too. Are you guys thinking about doing any kind of affiliate programs? Like, might there be an opportunity for people like me or the show or other projects to be able to promote, the sale of the NFTs or this and maybe receive a small commission or something like that, or even just like an opportunity to be part of the community? Have you guys thought about doing anything around that?
Yeah, so we've had a couple ideas with that, and um I it's it's complicated because we have a
Hmm.
budget we're sticking to,
Hmm.
but I feel like honestly the pretty much main marketing tactics that I've been trying to take right now is looking into certain collaborations and mutual ways that me and other brands can mutually benefit from each other.
Okay.
So I've been reaching out to a lot of like brands, artists, like musical artists and things like that because um I mean, even just getting someone's name out there, whether like if I were to mention like I can't think of anything with like Starbucks, and if
Yeah.
Starbucks were to mention me, if we were on like the same level, it would kind of stimulate both of our markets.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, and I've also looked into affiliate marketing because it's kind of a safe way to make money. Like if someone brings me 10 customers, then I know I'm gonna get 10 customers for the money, and then they can get money from that too. So I think,
That's
yeah, that's probably the main sort of route that we're gonna be taking marketing wise.
Well, let me know. I mean, after all, we are coffee and crypto. It'd be nice to offer someone, a product or something down in the
Mhm.
description or have a little shill at the end of every episode and we can help promote because I really like what you guys are doing. My team was super impressed too because they did a bunch of vetting and research before we even set this all up. And that was
Yeah.
something they asked. They were like, hey, can we help them sell some of this coffee? And I was like, I don't know. I'll make sure to ask that question. So definitely hit me up if you guys figure anything else out about that. And if you do any kind of affiliation programs or stuff like that, I mean, regardless, I'm definitely going to be buying one of the NFTs. I want to go through the experience myself. I also love coffee. So, I mean, that's just
Yeah.
easy, you know. But what are you guys looking at? And this is probably the last question because I realize we're running out of time, but it's funny as we continue to talk, I just want to keep asking more and more. What kind of coffee beans or blends are you guys looking at? And do you have kind of a quality that you're trying to go for there? And did you guys and what did you really settle on? Because I noticed when I looked on the Facebook, we could kind of see a couple, but I just wanted to get your input. Is that going to be expanding beyond that? And how did you guys pick those?
Yeah. So we always want to keep things very high quality. I feel like we don't want
Okay,
to kind of give this community anything but the best. I think it's really what sort of this community is interested in.
good point.
For our flavored coffees, which we're gonna have the most variety of, it's all Arabica beans, so really high
Cool.
quality.
Yeah.
And then for our like medium roast, light roast, we're gonna be doing single origin. So really just pretty much prioritizing quality over everything else.
Nice. There you go. If there's a French vanilla flavored one, I am totally down. I don't even care. That would be the one that I would go to. Although
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
definitely interested in many. I know my wife would be interested in like a chocolate one if there was something like that. Um, have you guys fleshed out what those flavors are going to be yet, or is that still kind of up in the air too?
Yeah, so we've announced, I think publicly we've announced two, or
Okay.
I think. I know we've done, yeah, only wait, two, yes. Well, we
Okay.
have a what was it? Chocolate marshmallow, and then we have like an
Wow.
espresso, and
Okay.
then something else that I can say that I think will be the next label that we're going to post very soon is we want to do a I think it was raspberry truffle was the flavor.
Wow,
There's
that
some
sounds
really
great.
interesting, I know it, I'll be honest, when I first was like getting kind of into the fruit flavors, we tried a lot that,
Okay.
in my opinion, were just nasty. But the raspberry truffle, I was like, oh, this is actually really good. It's weird. It's like not what you would expect, but I kind
Okay.
of feel like once you tried it and kind of put in, milk and sugar to your liking, I was like, well, this is actually really delicious.
It makes it interesting enough that I kind of want to buy it just for the sake of trying something raspberry
Yeah.
truffle for coffee. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I
Okay,
get
cool.
that.
Definitely keep a lookout for any of the new flavors that you guys announce. And are we going to see more of that towards the NFT launch? Like, are you guys going to kind of slowly release some more of those flavors before the NFT launch happens? Or what's the plan with that?
Yeah, so as we are moving through the different like labels, we're honestly all doing them ourselves.
Okay. Oh,
Uh
wow.
as we pretty much finish up them and like confirm we like this, we just post it online. So anything that you're seeing is kind of where we're at. But I mean, I've talked to Colin because he's doing most of the designing, and he said we should be done in the next couple of weeks. So
Okay.
all the flavors should be out there really soon.
Oh, that's really exciting. Well, Faith, I know I'm really interested to see kind of over the next couple of weeks any more information that comes out. I'll be following your guys' project quite closely. I know a lot of people on the team are really interested too. So you've definitely got, at least a couple
Thank
dozen
you.
sales coming through just from our side of things. And it's also just been really nice to have you on here and kind of talk about the project and, how it came to be, kind of what we can expect over the next little while. And
Yeah.
it's definitely been really nice having you on here. I know we're kind of running out of time. So, before we kind of wrap things up, was there anything in particular that you wanted to highlight? And I also just had one kind of last follow-up question. Is there anything else interesting and exciting that you're working on, maybe separate from Dionysus Coffee Co. that you want to mention?
Yeah. So for Dionysus, I guess like the last final plugs or things that I'll
Sure.
say is please definitely check out our Twitter. Like I was
Hmm.
mentioning before, that's kind of where everything is. It is just Dionysus Coffee. And that's where you're going to be seeing all the updates and all the interesting things coming out with that in the future. And then outside of the coffee company, I've started another company called Mitzie Development. And
Okay.
another thing that I've seen really needed in kind of in and outside the community is a way for brands or businesses or organizations, individuals, whoever, to enter the community. I think there's a really big barrier to
Oh, that's
entry.
huge.
And
Hmm.
yeah, and it's hard to both, get the developers and get the business experience in both Web3 and Web2. And
Yeah.
so since I come from a business background and I've been so involved in the Web3 space, I kind of know what it would take, and also starting up a business here myself, what it would take to start a collection or integrate some sort of blockchain tech into an existing Web2 corporation. So I've found like developers that I really trust.
Hmm.
And I think kind of the purpose behind it is really just integrating those Web2 businesses into Web3. And it just very recently started up. I mean, we have no clients. I'm just getting connected with people now. But if that's something anyone is interested in, they could definitely reach out and I could kind of get them, more detailed information on what we're about, what we can do, and all that.
Billion-dollar idea. I mean, there's going to be so much freaking demand just for
Right?
that specific service in the next decade and beyond. I mean, I can see we can almost see a use case for any Web2 business needing, and there's an opportunity for them moving into it. From our perspective
Yeah.
with marketing, I can see law offices, accountants, yoga studios, martial arts studios. You would almost think, oh, what have they got to do with Web3? You can find something. And I mean, that's today. We're only talking
Mhm.
today. Who knows the amount of utility and other things that we're going to see in the near future? That's
Yeah.
really cool. I'm super interested about that. Maybe in a couple weeks or months down the road, we can always do another follow-up call and kind of see how things are going. And, if there's anyone who's interested in learning more, I'll be sure to have your information down in the description below so that they can reach out. And like you said, make sure to follow you guys on Twitter. That's where they can find all the updates and where most of the information is. And I just want to thank you, Faith, for coming on here and kind of giving us all the information about your project.
Thank you.
And yeah, and I just want to thank everyone for joining us today. on another episode of Coffee and Crypto. And until next time, guys, cheers.